Welcome to the Ska History Hour with your host, Daryl Rubio, wherein the purpose of this channel is to spread awareness of ska music and its subgenres to the world. Our guests today are Erin and Matthew, members of Franceska from Portland, Oregon. We also have Matthew is also runs Simmerdown Productions as well. We also have Mr. Mikey Rude from that same old show, a radio program out of Hawaii. Mikey, thanks for joining us.
You betcha, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Erin, Matt, appreciate the time that you're spending with us to share your stories and your music with the ska community. Can you each please tell us a little bit about yourselves, your role that you played in Franceska, and where you live now and where you were where you were born and where you live now?
Yeah, I can start. So I'm Erin. I was the singer for Francesca for a number of years. I'm originally from Vancouver, BC. I moved to Portland to go to college, which is where I got introduced to this band, and that's where I still live. I'm continuing to make music, and we can talk more about that.
Sure.
I'm Matt, DJ Simmerdown Griffin from Franceska, and Erin and I both later in The Sentiments and Simmerdown Productions. I was born in a part of Hawaii that very few people have ever been born in or on. I was born on Midway Atoll in the northern
Get
Hawaiian
out.
Islands because my dad was in the military. So I moved around a lot in my lifetime because I was a Navy brat, and eventually did 2 years of high school in California, 2 years of high school in Portland, and then went off to college in Southern California and moved back a couple years after college and have been here ever since.
Did I hear you say you guys were part of the Sentiments?
That's us.
Wow. Oh, good music from the Sentiments too.
Thank you, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome. No problem.
Definitely good to know. I was not aware of that. So that's
It's part of the Francesca timeline.
Yeah,
Oh, look,
it's
yeah.
more recent history than ancient history, like Francesca's ancient history.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've heard there was a couple of really good songs from the Sentiments that I used to play all the time.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. God
perfect.
dang it, I'm gonna have to go look and find out which one it was that I played all the time now. So
Well, I'm sure we're going to be hearing some sentiments and some Francesca this Saturday morning.
All right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
so Francesca started in 1994. Approximately how many years did the band last before kind of fizzling out?
Erin, when did you go off to college?
So I left. I left Portland to go to the Berklee College of Music for a couple of years, and I graduated college in '96. I stayed for another year, so it would have been like '97, '98 that I left to go to Boston.
And then Francesca uh, continued on for probably 3 more years
Oh, wow.
after that. Once Erin left, and we got a couple different singers over that course of time. Recorded a couple songs with them.
Mhm.
It kind of became a studio project as people started families, got married, moved to other parts of the world, and then it just kind of fizzled out a couple years after Erin left, and then after everybody had gone away, and somehow some players ended up back in Portland. Erin moved back here. I approached Erin with some folks from another band that Francesca grew up with about starting what I called a supercharged Francesca, and we became a 10-piece soul ska rock steady band, and we were together for just over 9 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a lot of history that's actually not online. It's great that we're speaking with you guys, or that I haven't found, we'll say.
Thanks for having us.
We're a top secret organization.
That's great. Now, I want to start with what each of you is currently up to in life. I see that you're both involved in music, which is amazing. I myself had a hiatus for over a decade. I raised two children, then I wanted to come back into the scene, and I really wanted to do something. Not investing money in pressing product or sitting on any product that may not sell. So I found a different way to be involved, which was with this. How is it that you're both involved in music right now?
Yeah, I'll start. Mine's a little more straightforward. Matt's got lots of tentacles out there in the music world still. So I have a day job. I have two kids, one of whom is in college, the other of whom is currently at soccer practice. um, and so as far as like my musical participation these days, I was one of Franceska songwriters. I was one of the Sentiments songwriters. And I continue the songwriting practice as in a solo capacity. So I had a solo project, which was just went by my last name, Wallace. That was active for a couple of years. I play solo, so I play guitar and accompany myself. So I play solo. As I get older, it's so moving a band of 10 people around in unison is a huge undertaking. And I sort of after years of being like what we all call the band mom, I was like, maybe I can just do this by myself for a little while, and I don't have to worry about anybody being late or making sure they have the directions to the venue or whatever. Not that I minded doing that at all. Anyway, but moving as a solo operation is sometimes easier. And then for around the time that I joined the Sentiments, I also joined another band. So I had two invitations from musicians that I loved and admired, one being Matt, the other one being a guitar player here in town who was in the blues scene. And I came home from each of those meetings and I said to my husband, like, what are the chances that both of these bands are going to actually like stay together? And then for 15 years, I was in two bands at the same time. And that one is still going. So it's like a jump blues, soul, rhythm and blues, sort of 1940s and 50s era music that's called the Sport and Lifers. And that band is still active. It's a blues band, so like we don't have to practice as much. It's a little more improvisational. So that one's just sort of it's just kept going because it's simpler. And I've always said it's the band I'm going to grow old gracefully with, because it's like that music from that era is timeless, and I can do it when I'm in my 60s and 70s and not feel foolish, And so, not that anyone should feel foolish, but you know what I mean. Like I can sort of like you can play it forever and ever, and it's fine. So that's what I'm doing these days. I
think,
and then raising kids, paying the bills.
That's great. And did you have to learn guitar?
Sorry, I think I'm suffering from Wi-Fi, but
did you have to learn?
No, I started playing guitar when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was, I started playing. So way back in the day, growing up in Vancouver, BC, I used to busk in the public market. So there's a market called Granville Island, and it's so I used to play like open case, like for money. Sometimes I got like yogurt because I was a market. Like people put all kinds of stuff in my guitar case back in the day. So yeah, I've been playing guitar for a really long time.
So you're getting, instead of getting money, you're putting fresh produce also in your.
Oh, totally. I got all kinds of stuff. I like bagels. Like I was like, all right, like, okay, sure. Yeah.
Hey, it's something, right? That's great.
When you're a musician, like we'll take it all. Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. That's a good story. Matt, we know you got a hell of a lot going on.
Well, when I was in Franceska, that was it started just not long after I moved back to Portland from college, and 2 years a year and a half ish when I moved back. I was the promotions coordinator and an A&R rep for a legendary local record label, indie label, that has since folded. It was called Tim Kerr Records or TK Records.
Mhm.
And while I was there, I worked with a bunch of legendary bands, and I got the Dandy Warhols, their very first record contract.
Nice.
That was my claim to fame while I worked at the label. Did some work with Everclear, which was on the label, and then Poison Idea, legendary punk rock band, and all their indie label things. And then I could just kind of see the writing on the wall. The label founder, who has since passed away, spent money like it was going out of style because he loved releasing records. But I knew they were going to eventually go bankrupt, which they did. And so I bailed and started a 16-year career in the TV news business. And that kind of continued while I was in Franceska and I think the early days of the Sentiments as well. But then left that. And now I am a video and social media manager for a school district in Vancouver, Washington, just across the river from Portland. And I've been there 11 years now. And I believe in public education. And we've got great music programs. I love seeing, our students succeed in music. But, Simmerdown Productions, I started because of Franceska. But it's continued on, the ebbs and flows of the great ska crash of 97 or 98, whatever year that was. But somehow I pulled myself out of it and have continued releasing records.
Yeah, I think it was 99 because that's when Stiff Dog folded too. So
okay, yeah,
it was around then. Yeah. That's great. Well, we appreciate that. We will touch base on more of the information on Simmerdown as well.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the formation of Franceska. How did that all come about? Did you all know each other from school or friends?
No, it started. I'll let Matt talk about how it started, and then I can talk about how I got into, because I think I may have been the last major piece, except for, I mean, there's always sort of a rotating roster of horn players. But I think I was the last sort of part of the core band before it launched.
Yeah, our keyboard player and a tenor sax player, a guy named Eric, took an ad out, a print ad, when that was a thing, pre-internet days. And it was either in Willamette Week, one of our alt weeklies, or the Rocket Music Monthly that came out of Seattle and that was distributed around here. I think it's probably the Rocket, but it just said, "Hey, I'm forming a ska band. Call me, let's rehearse." And so I called him, and we went over to Reed College, where Erin went to school, and we gathered a bunch of people who had responded to the ad in a dorm room, or a dorm common room. And we tried to bang out a couple songs, including He Wants Me Back by the Dance Hall Crashers. And our guitar player who was there just wasn't feeling it. And so the two women who had come to be singers, he said, "This all works except for the two women who wanted to be singers. So why don't we try this again, but bring my friend Erin in?" And that's when Erin showed up to the second rehearsal.
And so Ben, the guitar player, and I went to college together. And he and I were in a band. I think we had a grand total of half of a gig. And so it was like a soul R&B cover band for the most part. We played one event at college and someone got annoyed and unplugged us. So
I didn't know that.
No, it was it's kind of a long story, which I won't bore you with. But anyway, an ornery attendee was not enjoying it because he was working and he didn't like it. Anyway, so we made it through half a gig, and Ben was like, "Hey, I've got this other thing, and this is full transparency. And I know in the ska world, this is like dangerous territory, but I knew nothing about ska. I didn't have any experience with it. Like, I had listened to plenty of reggae, but I was really sort of like very tangential to the scene. But I have a major case of FOMO. And if anyone offers me an opportunity that sounds cool, I'm going to be like, absolutely, let's give it a try. Which is why I've been in so many different genres of music and I've never stuck with one, is because like I love to try just about everything. And it was like instant. I was like, this is a blast. I love the music. I didn't know I loved the music until I got there. The people were great. It was such a great way, as someone who's going to college in a town that they don't know very well yet, such a great way to like get to know the city. You're going to all these different venues. Like our first gig ever was opening for Desmond Decker. Like I didn't know how epic that, I didn't have a full appreciation for how epic that was at the time, but like amazing opportunities from just happening to be in the right place at the right time. It was great.
Wow. Yeah. Legendary. That's like, you can't
Totally.
There's a few greats: Desmond Decker, Jimmy Cliff, Scatolites. A lot of those guys are right up there. So great first gig.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Second gig.
What was our first gig? What was our first gig?
I don't remember.
This is why Matt's here.
I just know that we had been together long enough that we started recording almost immediately. After we started the band, as soon as we had a couple songs, I approached King Django at Stubborn Records about, he's got this compilation. He's soliciting people through the earliest days of the internet to be on it. And I'm like, I've got this new band. We have to be on it. So we recorded 2 songs real quick. And in between that first gig and the second gig, I made a cassette tape dub, I think, to give to Bucket from the Toasters. The Toasters had a night off between Eugene and Seattle. They were skipping Portland this time. And so I knew that Bucket was going to be there. So I wanted to give him our demo. And I did when we opened our second show with Desmond Decker, which is quite a great second show, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My eyes were this big. It's great.
So funny that it's weird because we're having Bucket on tomorrow for his band that you said that too. But yeah, great stories there. Franceska released 2 albums basically. Well, the unreleased compilation tunes of 2021, and then most recently in 2024, the modern music for dancing lovers. That was in 2024.
That's kind of when they went on to the interwebs.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
but
so
they were done what? How many years prior?
Years prior.
Decades prior.
Modern music for dancing lovers came out in what had happened, my business partner was Eric, the keyboard player and saxophone player from Franceska. And I said, I want to release some music with Franceska. I think this is, a good band. I know we're just starting out, but all the regional ska compilations on CD had been coming up, and nobody had done one in the Northwest. And so that was really my networking skills in the early days of the internet and phone Rolodexes. I said, why don't we start a record label, and we'll gather up all of our Northwest friends, and we'll put a couple of the songs that we had just recorded, Franceska, on this compilation album of bands from the Pacific Northwest. And that was the label's first release, Land of the Bigfoot Ska. And, released that and some other records. But then Erin, came to practice one day and said, I have 2 announcements. I'm getting married and I'm moving to Boston. And I said, oh, wow. Okay. and I didn't want to leave, all these years of memories and the work we put into the songs and the show. And we had lots of Northwest fans. We played some really big shows, really big shows. And so I said, well, don't leave until we can go into the studio. And we recorded an album in just a couple days. And I think it might have even, it came out in 1997, and Erin may have already even left to school.
I was gone by the time it
came out, and I had to mail her copies.
Yeah, we were in the studio. I mean, I was like packing up my apartment and running to the studio. I had a cold at the time, and when I listen back to it now, I can hear that I had a cold, but I was just like, we had to power through. Like, there was no backup plan. We just had to like go ahead and get it done. And I love it.
You're the only one that knows you had a cold. I guarantee it.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that's true. But it's like all part of the history for me is like, we were absolutely crushing to get that thing out before my plane took off. It was, it was really fun.
Now, you guys also were in Sentiments, and Sentiments put out 2 albums, and I think they were 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be possibly, were they available where they were just, was that when the internet got them?
Yeah, essentially. So after everybody had kind of reconvened in Portland, I was approached by the Sentiments original guitar player and our longtime guitar and saxophone player, Tad and Kit, who played in a Northwest band called the Cornerstone. And
I know Cornerstone. Yeah.
Well, there's a Cornerstone from Santa Barbara, California. This is a Northwest big band ska band.
Oh, okay.
And I'll send you some of their stuff, Mikey. They are fantastic.
Okay.
They were doing big band ska long before many others were. But anyway, they said, hey, we're going to try and start something new. You want to get back in the saddle again. Everybody gone away to do other things. And so the Sentiments, I called up Erin. I said, hey, I want to start this band with you on vocals. Would you meet me, for a drink? And we went out and I made the pitch and she said, yeah. And so our first rehearsal with Erin in the room and not just ideas in a garage with Kit and Tad was on January 2nd, 2011. And
we did that first EP pretty soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was the full length album that came a little bit later.
And it looks like just a little bit later. I want to say the EP was released in June, and then the Hi-Fi album was released in December. At least on Bandcamp. That's what Bandcamp's telling me.
Yeah, and that's when I put them up there. But yeah.
Okay.
That December was that was when that one came out. I think you just put the EP up at the same time, but because that was another rushed album because we were trying to get that completed before we went on tour support for the Slackers for their winter tour. We did tour support for like the Pacific Northwest, so like Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, Victoria, I think, for that. And we wanted to have an album for that. So that was another like fairly quick recording project. But it was December. That timeline matches.
Yeah.
No, I would have never guessed it was. I mean,
there was the 5-song EP.
Right.
I think it was 5.
And you've got one track on there with King Django.
Yep. We sent that off to him, and he did chatting over our version of Errol Dunkley's "Please Stop Your Lying," and like Erin said, a couple years later. The Slackers asked us to do local support, maybe even on the whole West Coast. And I just said, we can't do that. We've just got too many families and jobs and kids and commitments. So we can't. But what if we did all the Northwest run? And so the Slackers were very generous to have us on 4 dates, Portland, Seattle, Victoria, and Vancouver, BC. But I just knew, as generous as they are, hauling 10 people around was going to be a chore. So we recorded, mixed, mastered, had the artwork done, and the manufacturing for that 8-song album. We did that in 28 days.
Oh my!
Wow. We took our time in the studio, even though we were rushed, but I think we got a really good sound out of it. We recorded at this.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me? You totally did. Moving on. What was the other one I like? I Don't Want to Fight.
Oh man!
Great songs.
Bangers.
Bangers. No, they are definitely.
That is awesome.
Okay. So I wanted to ask real quick about your okay, so it says here on Bandcamp, Northwest Ska and Rocksteady bands. The Sentiments bring together featured members of 3 beloved Northwest Ska and Rocksteady bands, Franceska, Cornerstone, and Easy Big Fella. Tell me a little bit about your friendship with Easy Big Fella.
Oh, that goes way back. Way back. Yeah. Back to the 90s and Franceska, in fact. We used to play with them a bunch.
Yeah,
Such great guys.
Vic from the Slackers once commented at a show, they should just make a road that goes straight here. And he was talking from the stage in Portland at the time. And, there's plenty of roads that go straight here. Just a lot of in between to get there. It's a 10-hour drive to San Francisco. Seattle is 3+ hours, probably 4 these days. So, if you're a band in the Northwest, that's the size of Franceska or the Sentiments, you just focus on your scene. And since we were here in the Northwest, we played a lot of shows in Eugene, Oregon, Seattle. And that's it. Seattle, Portland, Eugene. That was some shows in Olympia. But, because of the Land of the Bigfoot Ska CD, we knew all these people in the scene, and we just played shows all over the place together. And then when it came time to form the Sentiments, our first gig was opening for Easy Big Fella. That was our debut show just 2 months after we started. And then our second gig was opening for the English Beat.
Oh my!
And I approached Mikey Shasha, keyboard player and co-lead vocalist from Easy Big Fella. I said, "Hey, will you join us for this Easy Big Fella gig?" And he did, and he was in the band from our second gig on.
Okay.
So he and Erin kind of traded lead vocals on some tunes, and there was more left on the table, which is the bummer part.
Yeah.
So Sentiments came after Franceska.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we were babies in Franceska. We were full-grown adults when it came to who should have known better when it came to the Sentiments.
Yeah, Erin found some photos from way back, or I did, or we both did around the same time, and she's like, "This is like showing baby pictures."
Yeah, totally. I was like, "And why is my skirt so short?"
Erin, is that a picture of you on the unreleased and compilation tunes EP?
Is it? I
Yes.
don't know. Okay.
Yes, she's the main picture there, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, Daryl.
No, I don't think there's a tambourine in that picture, though. That my love for tambourines came later.
I do not see a tambourine. I see microphones.
Yeah.
But you also, on the unreleased albums, you got two songs with Angelo Moore, Fishbone. How did that all come about?
Oh yes.
Well,
but Shut Up is a good song too. It's a great song.
Yeah.
After Erin went off to college, she basically gave us the blessing to keep going. I didn't know where her travels would take her. And so no sense in waiting around. So we went back to the Reed College well, and Ben knew a couple more folks there, Helen Jupiter and Bridget Elmer, and then one of the Cornerstone guys who has since passed away, Josh. His girlfriend Misty, and we invited them all to come, and suddenly it was a female vocal trio at the front of the stage, and we performed for a couple years and recorded several more songs, and then we had a single vocalist again after they all moved away, and that lineup didn't perform together very long. But a couple of years after, I just got together some members of Franceska that I still knew, still liked, and Ben Taylor, our guitar player, came back out from New York where he'd been living, and he just said, "Hey, I've got some songs I want to record as Franceska," and he said, "Let's get in there and we'll record the rhythm tracks, and then you a little bit later bring the vocalists in." And so we had Bridget Elmer came in for a couple tunes, and then I asked Erin to come in for Please Stop Your Lying, which I knew at the time. Like many of the songs, we didn't realize that the Jamaican artists that were playing them as cover songs. And so we had her record what I originally thought was a Toots and the Maytals song. Sit Right Down and Cry Over You.
Yeah, isn't that an Elvis Presley song?
I believe it is by Roy Hamilton.
Okay.
An old soul singer. I'd have to double check. We can correct that later in the comments, I guess. But anyway, we recorded that tune, and what I really like about that tune, and I think I've told Erin this story, was this is early internet days, and we had that song finished, and I had not seen a recent or modern picture of Toots Hibbert, and he was playing at a theater called the Roseland Theater that Franceska used to play a lot back in the day. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to make him a CD copy, and I'm going to go take it to his bus, and I'm going to just stop at nothing to get him to listen to this. And so I banged on the tour bus door until this man with a Jamaican accent opens the door, and I said, I want to meet Toots. And he said, "That's me, man." And, I said, "Well, nice to meet you. My band recorded this song of yours, and I'd like to play it for you." And he invited me on the bus, and he asked his daughter, who was singing backup, to find the portable CD player. She couldn't find it. And so he asked, "What song you do, man?" And I said, "Sit Right Down and Cry." And he didn't remember it.
Oh, wow.
And he said, "Sing it to me." And so, I sang him a little bit of the chorus, "Sit right down and cry over you, you." And he said, "Oh, man, I remember that one." And he said, "We recorded that one with Sir Coxswain Downbeat the Ruler." He gave him all his honorifics all at the same time. And, I think when he asked what song we did, he was expecting me to say Monkey Man or 5446 or Pressure Drop. And in my mind, the world did not need another cover of any of those songs. Right. And so that was one thing, I tried to do with Franceska and The Sentiments, was dig a little deeper for the cover songs we did.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, you're right. 1953 by Joe Thomas and Howard Biggs. It was popularized by Roy Hamilton in 1954, and then the most famous inclusion was Elvis Presley's 1956 self-titled debut album.
Yeah, so. And it's the Roy Hamilton version that I'm certain that
The
Toots
Toots
had
did.
heard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That would make sense. 54.
God, I was lucky. I got to see Toots twice. Once at the House
Daryl.
of Blues in Hollywood, and once on the Santa Monica Pier. So I was so fortunate to do that. Great fucking man, great guy.
Yeah, great story too, by the way,
Yeah,
Matt. That's awesome.
yeah, I love it. It's so great to hear this.
When Toots passed, I made a couple posts of it in places where I knew it would become public, and I don't know. It was just me and him on a bus for about 40 minutes, and he asked
Wow.
me, "Are you a musician?" And I said, "Yeah, I play the drums, and this is the band." And he just said, "You play ska music, I play ska music. That makes us brothers.
Oh.
I'm not going to forget this." And I had arguably the greatest ska singer of all time call me one of his musical brothers. It was wild.
Yeah,
Just
dude,
it's a
mind blowing, right?
great story, and I shared it, and some people said that was Toots, man. He was everybody's friend.
Nice.
And it's too bad we didn't have cell phone cameras back then, where you could easily get a photo with the reggae legend.
Oh, totally. Yep. There's
Yeah,
a lot of Franceska memories that I have here in my
here,
head,
yeah.
and I'm sure Erin does too.
Mm-hmm.
We had some good times, and we played some good shows, but it was all film cameras and my little i8 video recorder that only recorded on standard def on cassettes like that.
Yeah. Yep. TDK
We
or
had so many encounters with just absolutely legendary performers. Like Brett, I mean, like as you can see from our apparently second gig ever, opening for Desmond Decker, and then it was the Scatolites, and then it was and it just never stopped, and it's always been that. And like Matt's really good with connecting people, but I feel like the ska community is also just so deeply connected. There's so many artists that are still touring, and those bonds form so freely, and there's such a passion around the music and the history. And I think of the opportunities that have come from this very accidental, the way that I ended up in this band just completely by happenstance. I had the opportunity to tour with Ernest Ranglin for a couple of tours in the past. Yeah. So I mean, he was in his 80s and 90s when I toured with him, but like a couple of times I was like, I have no business being here. Like, how did I get so lucky? You're just pinching yourself for the opportunities that just show up if you are someone who loves and cares about the music. And it's a brother sisterhood. It's such an incredible community that I never would have known if it hadn't been for that band that got unplugged at a barbecue in the 90s.
Yeah, it just you make connections with people, and the trombone player who ended up being in the Sentiments had already done some work with Ernest Ranglin, and suddenly this guy's in the band, and then tells Erin and Paul, our Barry sax player, and Mikey, who was originally an Easy Big Fella, hey, there's this series of gigs with Ernest Ranglin, and suddenly, I'm going to watch, my awesome bandmates and friends, play with, a guy who's got an argument about inventing the music we're playing. It was just awesome, watching Erin and Paul and Mikey have these opportunities, like she said, from being, kind of pulled into the scene by happenstance.
Man, some good stories you guys got. I love it. But
That's what happens when you're old. You collect stories.
I think we are too.
Life is a collection of memories, you know.
Yeah.
Try to have more good ones than bad ones.
Right. Did I miss how Angelo got involved in?
Oh, I had a radio show, like Mikey, for 17 years,
Oh, wow.
Oh my.
at Portland State University,
Mm.
called Rude Boys Revenge and Coffee Hour.
Oh, nice. I
And
like it.
and we, you know, every now and again bands would come through, and I would ask them to play live on the air. You know, we had a live setup, and engineers who could set up all the mics, and I had the English Beat, one of the iterations of the English Beat, play on my show, Westbound Train, a bunch of local bands. But
Wow.
Fishbone was in town, or they had a day off. They had a day off between Eugene and Portland, and I reached out to their management and just said, "Hey, I have been a fan forever, and I was wondering if instead of staying the night in Eugene, you would pack up after the show and come to Portland, spend the night in Portland, and play my show the next day, and then do the gig in Portland."
Mhm.
And I talked their management into doing it. They did it for nothing. And so
Wow.
Angelo was in there beforehand and asked me, said, "Hey, can I read some of my poetry on the air um, before the band plays?" And I said, "Yes, on one condition. You let me give you some money, and then after the band plays, you go with me to the studio." And we had these tracks done, and I had called the engineer where Franceska recorded our album, and I said, "I've got it ready." Our guitar player Ben had left some guitar picking, mimicking the horn line, and I said, "Okay, so after we're done here, we're going to go over to the studio, and I'll give you some money. All I wanted was 2 solos, and then I'll take you back to the hotel." And we got there, and Angelo brought 3 saxophones, and he didn't sing on anything, although I think he could have added something remarkable to "Shut Up and Take Me Dancing Tonight."
Yeah.
But anyway, he performed. He harmonized with all his different saxophones, and then he laid down the solos for that original tune, "Shut Up," and then our cover of a Millie Small tune, that was, I think, the B-side of "Oh Henry," or of "My Boy Lollipop." I'm sorry. "Oh Henry" was the name of the tune.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he provided a couple different solos for that, and that was on the kind of unreleased stuff that included that track, "Sit Right Down and Cry" with Erin.
As you can tell, Matt has a way of making things happen. He's very tenacious
Yeah,
and
I like
charming,
that.
of course.
You want to,
Yeah.
you can read your poetry, but then I'm going to pay you to come to my studio and do a couple of quick songs for
yeah,
me,
twist my
and then
arm,
I'll take
right?
you back to the hotel.
Yeah.
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 Who could say no to any of that?
They
There
could
is
have.
the guy who recorded us. His name is Mike Lastra, and he's got decades and decades of history recording bands here in the Northwest. But his control room is upstairs in his old house, and in order to talk to and see the band, he's got surveillance cameras all over the place in the basement so he can see you. And there exists a video of Angelo, looking straight up into the camera, listening to playback and noodling along to his solo. I've got to get that. It's just kind of a funny image of Angelo in his recording process.
Yeah, that is neat. That's great. Now, I want you both to describe the sound of Franceska. Where does the band fit into the ska genre?
Matt, you go first.
you know, when I answered that ad, I don't think there was anything that said, you know, we're starting a band with a femme vocalist. You know, it just happened that way. And, you know, I absolutely adore Erin's voice and what we came up with. So it was, you know, she's got, you know, this trained powerhouse soul voice, crisp and clear, just right over the top of everything. And I think, you know, we picked the covers that I thought would complement her voice, and the songs that were written by other members were written for her voice. And as someone who didn't know ska music before, who ended up, you know, touring with Ernest Ranglin, she just grew right into it, you know, whereas I bought the Specials first album the week it came out, you know, so I had, you know, a decade or more of ska music listening than Erin did, and she just kind of grew into the role.
I think we found our own tradition a little bit. And sorry, part of that was the band working with me and my background and what I sounded like. And that was really generous of them. Like they never expected me to sound like anybody else. And we definitely pull from a more traditional lens. That's my musical frame of reference anyway, sort of in all aspects. Regardless of genre, paying homage to, you know, the greats was always like that, always felt good, and that felt like the right place for us to be. But I think, you know, we didn't necessarily fit exactly into any particular wave, because we took our own sounds, and I mean, I'm sure there are waves that we fit into for sure, but like that, but like I said, they were generous enough to sort of work with what I brought to the table, and build a little bit around that, which was very kind of them to do.
Yeah, I'm thinking trad, ska, rock steady, soul, a little bit of northern soul. You know, that kind of a mixture of those genres is kind of what
that all rings true for sure.
Yeah.
You know, some of our songs that probably could be recorded at a little slower tempo would sound even more traditional, but you know,
okay. No, I like the tempo of a lot of the songs. I like
you know, I don't know. I certainly play too fast on my share of things, and there's things, you know, and we rush recorded it. We really did, we just didn't have time to rethink tempos or anything. We just, let's go in and play it like we do live, and let the cards fall where they may. And so
maybe,
you know, some people thought of us as more traditional. Some people thought of us as a poppy, soulful third wave band. But like Erin said, we just kind of charted our own path. You know, so divorced, so divorced from what was happening in Los Angeles. You know, which I was in tune to.
Right.
You know, but just trying to chart our own path up here in the Northwest. And at the time we were doing it, Erin was the only woman fronting a band in the Northwest for years and years.
Yeah.
Among all of our compatriots around the same age.
What was that like being a woman fronting a ska band back then? Because that, you know, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, it was it's a little more common now than it was back then.
Yeah, I have really loved to watch the progression of more and more women joining the music scene, just in general. Like, I mean, I'm now old enough that I had plenty of gigs when I would show up and the doorman would be like looking for my name on the on the guest list, right? And I'm like, no, I'm in the band. One of our early gigs I was at, we were at a bar that doesn't exist anymore. I went up to the bar and I was going to get one of like our allotted, free band drinks. And I made the mistake of saying, can I get a whatever? I'm with the band. And the guy behind the bar goes, if I had a nickel for every chick who said she was with the band, I would be a very wealthy man. And I like the look of, I was just this like Canadian mild mannered baby. And I was like, oh, I mean, I'm in the band. I never paid for another drink in that bar for as long as that bar was in business.
Oh, no.
That guy saw me coming. He felt so terrible. So that was like, I guess, you know, the up and the downside of it. And you know, that continued for years. I have not had any friction in the music industry in years. I think it's an absolutely amazing progression from being sort of a bit of a novelty to being a sort of the standard. And I have loved, there's like all female ska projects that are incredible. There are so many women playing every instrument on stage. Like it is a really beautiful progression to have watched. We had a gig, speaking of the Slackers, Matt, you were there for this conversation. I came in, I was raging one night. I came in and I had another episode at the door where the guy was like, I don't see you on the guest list. And so I came in, I was just like, if that happens to me one more time, and Vic, I won't try to imitate his amazing New York accent, but he breaks into the story where he's like, oh yeah, I was literally trying to get into a bar holding a poster with my own face on it, and they wouldn't let me in the front door.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, I guess maybe it doesn't only happen to women. Like, I'm sure like people at the door need to be on high alert, but like it did feel like for a long time, like, why do you think I'm carrying this microphone stand and this tambourine? Like, like I got a job to do. Let me in. But it's been amazing. I have some incredible ska sisterhood friends out there now. You know, bonds forged by. And then there's like also you're in a band where you have like 9 little brothers that you have to get in line. That's the other part of it as well.
What did you call yourself? Ska mom?
The band mom.
Yeah, the band mom. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Erin was band mom and I was band dad. And Erin took over more last couple of years of the Sentiments, but you know, together we were the ones who got itineraries for everyone, made sure everybody knew when sound check was and where the gig is and how many guest list spots we have, and no, you can't have any more drink tickets.
But I remember one night, I had done all the logistical arrangements. I had arranged all the backline. I had done all of the bits and pieces that go into a gig. At the end of the night, the promoter comes up and gives one of our horn players the money. I'm like, dude, you and I have been emailing for like a month and a half. Like, are we really like all of a sudden I'm, what am I, chopped liver? That stuff, like I said, that stuff doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, it's been really fun to watch.
Nice, very nice.
You would have loved last October. There was a ska festival here with all female fronted ska bands.
Oh, amazing!
So
that's great.
That was pretty cool. And the guy who put it together is an awesome dude. I love him. He's great.
Oh wait, that way. That guy put it on. It was a good show. I was there. It was a very good show, and it was very nice. So
I put on a show festival last year called the Rude Girl Riot Festival.
No way!
Yes,
That's awesome.
Yes. I know that. Yeah.
My invitation got lost in the mail, I guess.
Yeah. Actually,
next time you call me.
Amy Gaba from up there in Canada was actually supposed to come down. She was one of the 10th band, so she didn't make it. So we only had 9 bands on it. But it was pretty cool. It was a good show, good time. Everyone had a good time.
Well, it was.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But the female thing is a lot more prevalent now.
Way more prevalent, yeah, for sure. And let's make no mistake. There have been women in the Jamaican scene from the very beginning. So it's not like we invented it. It is just, I think, just much more common, less of a sort of novelty these days. But it's definitely part of the tradition, and it's so important to acknowledge all of the incredible women who I've had the honor of meeting Doreen Schaefer and like all of these women who really blazed a trail. And there's an interesting history too in the other. So I mentioned I'm in a jump, blues, and swing band. you know, way back in the day when men were off fighting, like women took over the music world because all of men were gone. I mean, that's a broad exaggeration, but like, you know what I mean? So there's this deep history of women in music that I love pulling from that, back in those days, it's like Ruth Brown and like, women in the 40s and 50s who were just like absolutely crushing the game. We do have this amazing history, and I don't want to make it sound like we were pulling from nothing. But it's really just incredible to see the opportunities that are much more available to everyone these days.
Well, and just like my first release was that Northwest Ska compilation. The Girls Go Ska compilation was also a way for me to pay tribute to how much I adore Erin and her voice by putting an unreleased a song that wasn't on our album, on that Girls Go Ska album. I'm like, you know what? The Land with the Bigfoot Ska CD did well enough. I said, why don't we support the voices of women? And like Erin said, I've been a fan of Doreen Schaefer and Pauline Black and Rhoda Dakar and the Body Snatchers and Marcia Griffiths and, Millie Small. The list goes on. But I put together that Girls Go Ska compilation, and it struck a cultural nerve at the time. And I didn't give much thought to it at the moment, but before we hit the air, I was talking about how I'm learning just in recent years how much of an impact that made on women who were in their teens, I'll say, when that came out, and they bought that because they saw themselves represented in this music, and then went on to form their own bands. And I've gotten some, really heartwarming messages from people in bands, all over the country, who told me that was a formative listening experience for them.
Yeah, you had
you got to see it to be it.
Yeah, because I remember you even had and I'm looking at those. I think you had Low Pressure on that
Low
album
Pressure
as
was
well,
on that,
because
yes.
they were from like the Inland Empire area out here.
Yep.
It must have been, because I'm looking at some of the bands. Of course, you have OE on there, and you got a lot of fucking great. I didn't see the Dynamics though. Did you have the Dynamic? You had Lone Raspberry.
I did not have the Dynamics, although one lineup of Franceska, last lineup of Franceska, did play a show with Dynamics. And I see that they're getting ready to do a reunion show, and I'm just so excited to hear that.
Yeah.
We're so far away, I can't always travel down to see it.
I know. That's only the only unfortunate thing with that. But was it hard at that time? Because you put it out in what year was it? 97. At that time,
Yes.
there wasn't many. Wait, you had Meal Ticket on it too, right? I think.
Yes.
Okay. There wasn't many bands, female fronted bands at that time. Was it a little difficult to try to get as many as you could in there and try to scour the world? So I believe it was only US bands too, right?
No, they're Los Malarians, which is a band from Madrid, Spain.
Okay.
Is on there, and also the Skanksters from Toronto are on there. And I think that's it for international bands.
I remember the Skanksters. They were on the generic Skaka comp. I think I put them on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Miscalculation.
Miscalculation.
And then I
is that Scatterlight?
Yes.
Are you guys are talking about the bands that from Simmerdown?
The bands are on Girls Go Ska.
On Girls Go Ska. Oh, okay.
I ended up releasing a full-length Skanksters album called Dub Cookery.
Oh, I have it.
And
yeah, it has like a thing with a snake and a pot and stuff, or
it
has
a pot.
Yeah, okay.
A bunch of electronics.
Yeah.
Dub Cookery.
I think I have I think I have everything that's Simmerdown, is almost everything that you've released except the 7 inches.
Okay, we'll
So-
get you those. And then this is I financed their second album.
We can't see it.
Uh,
It's a girl with blue hair.
uh,
Who's that?
yeah, that is the singer, and then there's the
For the
Super My Own band.
Oh,
And
God.
I had a family member who had some health problems, and so I had to put this on the back burner. And the band, for reasons that are still lost on me, changed their name and released the album that I had paid for. So I'm taking it back, and this will be available on the next Bandcamp Friday. I'm going to release the album that I paid for and never saw a dime of. We'll see.
Holy shit. Was that difficult to get?
We'll see what happens.
Did you say that's a Canadian band? That's very un-Canadian behavior.
of them to do that?
Yeah.
They're I called them on it once I realized it had been released. I don't want to start any bad blood, but I'm just going to release it, and if I make $10 back, I've called it a victory.
Okay.
There you go.
So you're going to be putting that on Bandcamp and other platforms as a physical or digital?
It's going to be digital right now. I've got some money tied up in some physical releases that'll be coming out shortly.
Yeah, we know. Western Standard Time would be one of them. Is that right?
Yeah. I released the first Western Standard Time album. And
you
then
you did both of the Scatolites 1 and 2.
Was back for the
and then Fire and Ice, right? No.
Fire and Water.
Fire and Water.
I did their first album, the self-titled, and then I repressed it just recently, and then did the Fire and Water. So two pressings of that first album, one with different artwork, and then the Fire and Water album. And then I'm really close to releasing a 7-inch with them and a legendary punk rock band on the flip side.
Very nice. Can't wait to hear that.
I've said a couple things on social media, but I think I'm pretty close to figuring it out. But that'll be next, and then next in the Simmerdown pipeline, I just released the Peace and Quiet project, or the PAQ project, 2 skinhead reggae style songs, kind of akin to the Agrolites, with Kit Lee, who was the Sentiments original guitar player, and Curtis Ivory from the Collaborators and the Bandulus, and then John England Fisher on keys. He's from the Collaborators and a great world beat band called Shervona from here in Portland. And so we just recorded those 2 songs before Kit moved out of town for sunnier climates. But I think we're going to continue on as a studio project and release songs every now and again. And then my other 2 physical releases coming up are a punk rock band, a femme-fronted punk rock band from here in Portland called Jab.
Okay.
And these kids are just aggressive punk rock. And that was produced by Jerry A. From Poison Idea in part. And then I'm just waiting to get the masters for a 12-inch, maxi, 8-song maxi EP with Eric Blowtorch and Big Youth and Dennis Bavell. And so those are the ones we've got in the pipeline right now.
Eric Blowtorch on Simmerdown Productions.
Yeah. That's a lot of good stuff you got going on there.
Released his Flame On record. Eric's a wonderful guy.
It was it a sad day, gray skies over Portland when Jerry Pena left and moved to New York?
He still comes by and performs from time to time. I mean, I guess it's been a while, but
yeah,
I subbed in with the
Leah still lives there, right?
Right,
doesn't Leah live
yes.
there?
Yeah. Leah's still here. Yeah. Yeah. And she's got an amazing new solo out. Speaking of women in
Leah Farmer.
ska,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
you've got
Cascadians.
the Cascadians, and then her solo album that just came out
Yes.
too. Got to
Yeah.
make sure you give that a few good spins. Just such a
Yes.
speaking of like the sisterhood, I subbed in with the Bandulas a couple of times. I did both Emma's parts and Leah's parts at different times when they were like, um, and yeah, those folks are a part of the brother slash sisterhood as well. We're very like it's funny talking about our relationship with like Easy Big Fella back in the day, and Portland and Seattle are soccer rivals. We are ska siblings, so there's depending on what the subject is, there's either animosity or like a whole lot of love between in the Northwest scene. And yeah, the Bandula have always been great friends.
Yes. Yeah. I want to know about the name Franceska. How did it come about, and what does it actually mean? Because when I think of Franceska, I think of, just like Mikey probably does, is Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That's okay.
Right.
That's not. It wasn't. I don't think that was her name.
It was
Natasha.
It was. I think it was Francesca. It was Francesca, not Francesca. Wasn't that her name?
No, it was Natasha. Boris and Natasha.
Oh,
Boris and Natasha.
Oh, forget it. He looks like a Francesca.
No,
you might need to make an edit.
They had the Russian accent. Oh, Boris. Because they were the bad guys. They were the Russian bad guys, dude. That's why the Russian accent. Yeah.
So Matt will have to answer this one because it was named when I arrived. Even that early on, I think there was even like some preliminary artwork somehow, or like really early on before I got there.
Basically, Ben Taylor, our guitar player, who now owns a really great guitar shop in New York called Southside Guitars. He came up with the name, and he just said Franceska was the name of a girl he had a crush on.
Oh.
And so, we did what too many bands did back in the day, is we changed SCA at the end to SKA. Although, that is a common, I think, Eastern European spelling of Franceska. And so we were just that from the beginning, and, cursed Erin for the time she was in the band. With
Erin Franceska Wallace.
People would like, people they thought I thought it was my name. I had a woman at Music Millennium. I was like looking through the records, and she was like, Franceska, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in that band. She's like, wait, you're not Franceska? And I was like, no, my alter ego. I probably should have leaned into that a little bit harder. Gave myself a full character development arc.
Well, and
nice. There we go.
To be frank, it continued when we had a 3-woman lineup, and people would say, which one of you is Franceska?
Of course.
So I had a question going back. I know that after Erin, you had left, you continued, Matt, with a few other singers, but you said some of the songs were actually written for Erin's voice. Did you see a distinct change when you heard the other women singing those parts?
No, I don't. I may have phrased it wrong. We didn't have songs that were written for Erin's voice. We picked covers that would complement the 3 singers, and when we had the 3 women vocalists, each one of them had tunes that they were featured on, and then the other 2 would sing harmonies or background vocals, and even adapted them, to what Erin had done in the band. And so, certain songs that fit one of the other singers' voices that Erin had originally performed, we adapted those for whichever person whose vocal range best complemented the tune at the time. When we when Ben and I went back in, and it was a studio project, and we knew, these songs wouldn't be played live. Although I think Shut Up had been played live. I said, hey, I've always wanted to do this Toot song, Roy Hamilton song, Sit Right Down and Cry Over You. But I wanted Erin to sing it. And so brought her in before the Sentiments had formed. And I kind of hummed it into a microphone real close to the drum set and kind of provided a guide vocal so that we would know, where the chorus and verses were. And then Erin came in and finished it up.
Yeah, I think I was in town visiting for like a holiday or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very neat. Very neat. Now, okay, so Franceska, there was some touring that you guys did, so you didn't really leave the Pacific Northwest or Canada, really. Now, what made the band stick with the same type of genre? Did you want to expand out from there? Did you want to try different things through different different styles through the different years that it was, or you wanted to remain constant with what you knew? Because I know, Matt, you kind of like to stay with more of like the ska, rock steady, all that kind of thing. That's your type of thing, like Luis from Steady Beat does down here.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that like anyone in the band wanted to kind of implement any type of their own type of sound or anything like that to kind of expand the sound of the band?
After Erin left, we just we had that formula that worked for us, and we had a great fan base here in the Pacific Northwest, and so with our 3-woman lineup, we just continued doing more of the same. Being judicious with our covers and trying to find ones that nobody needed to hear, another version of My Boy Lollipop with a high chirpy voice woman singer. But I've got a
I like the way you think.
background in that kind of music, and so we pick those when we got those 3 women on board. The last lineup just we did one short tour of Southern California and back home, and that was it. It was the only time we'd really been out of Oregon or Washington. Mm-hmm. But when I approached Erin about giving it another go, but this time with more musical experience under my belt, and all the contacts I'd made over the years, and it was always, the requirement was, families and jobs and that kind of stuff always came first, and we would never force anybody to do anything. And, we managed to do it from January of 2011 till February of 2021. So 10 years.
I would say that our genre has evolved a little bit more in the Sentiments. Like my songwriting, I brought some more, like, I wouldn't say like singer-songwriter style. We had more writers too. We had a bass player we had 2 different bass players who did some writing. Mikey Shasha also writes. So we had a more diverse group of songwriters. And then I came in, and we had one that we jokingly said was our ska country tune. And there's things that were like, if Alanis Morissette was a ska singer, this is what she would, like, it was like maybe a little bit more, it was a little bit more diverse, but we also definitely paid tribute to the more traditional sound as well. We sort of just we came back at it with we're just going to play what we like. And that made for a more diverse set list, I think, in general.
And at our full capacity, we were 10 people, and there were certain
I think we
songs.
flexed up to 11 on occasion.
Yeah, I think we did go up to 11 a couple times, as Nigel Tufnell would say. But, on some of those songs, we would have 5 horn players that were all members of the band. And so, with that, gave us an opportunity to expand, I don't know, kind of the soul powerhouse of it. And, we picked some pretty darn good covers that, came to be favorites in our set. Same Girl, who's the original vocalist on that one? It's the Soulful Strut Rhythm. I knew that. I'm forgetting her name, but then we also did You're All I Need to Get by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. And we learned that one for a wedding. And suddenly we just started crushing that tune. And it was just, when there were 10 or 11 of us up there all working in unison, that song really cooked. And I have a video of both You're All I Need to Get By and Same Girl up on YouTube. Yeah.
We also did a cover of Islands in the Stream at my insistence, because I am obsessed with Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And Mikey Shasha is such a great singer. So like anything that was a duet was a great thing to add. And so there's a ska version of Islands in the Stream out there somewhere.
I like it.
That's awesome. Now there's a song.
There are a few of them.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that there are a few covers of You're All I Need to Get By, or I'm sorry, yeah, You're All I Need to Get By out there, and Islands in the Stream out there, but I frankly think ours are the best.
I looked it up, Matt. It's Barbara Acklin.
Barbara Acklin, yes. On the Soulful Strut Rhythm, Same Girl. We crushed that tune.
Now on Modern Music, track number 3, the self-titled Franceska, a song that is an instrumental. That's a fucking banger. That's a banger.
Yeah.
I got through the first 2 songs, and yeah, it's pretty good. And then song 3 came on. I said, "Holy shit!" And I think I emailed you guys or something saying that.
Yeah.
You put it in. You did. You put it. Yeah, and you did. You emailed us all because I was in on that one. And I'm like, oh, Daryl got kicked in the head. Like, see, that happens. I'm playing music, and all of a sudden, one song will just kick you in the head, and you go, "God damn, that's a good song."
Yeah.
Well, I saw it was the instrumental tune, and I just ignored your email.
Oh.
Yeah, that was written by Ben and Eric, I believe, and that was a signature in our set for a long time.
Definitely. I want to go through, and Erin, we're gonna shift over to Matt a little on Simmerdown. Now
I have a drink. I'm good.
Okay. Now let's talk about Simmerdown Productions. Let's start with one of my favorite bands, Western Standard Time. I know Matt, you've known Aton for a while, like I have. He was in the Allentons, and I don't remember if he was in Nairi Beats. No, but he's been in a lot of bands in the past, and finally he's got his own thing with that. And I've seen Western Standard Time, I don't know how many times. Amazing, but this appears to be a great match between the music and the music you put out, the music you love, and another old timer like Aton. How did that all come about with you and Aton getting together for Western Standard Time releases?
The Sentiments, when we recorded our 5-song EP, there wasn't anybody in town that really knew how to mix ska music. And I had known Brian Dixon from his time in the Agrolites. And so I called Brian up and said, what if Kit, our guitar player, and I came down to, what did he call it, the Volcano Lounge, and had you mix these tunes? Well, we sat there and marveled at what you're doing. And so when I went down there, they had just started talking about, or maybe they already had the basic tracks going. And I just told Brian, I said, what do I need to do to release this on my label? And got me in touch with Brian Wallace and Aton, and made it work. Made it work. And so released that first album. And, I got down to LA, just in the nick of time for their debut performance. I didn't have the vinyl in hand, but we rush released some CDs and had those in time for the show, and it just went over like gangbusters. And then I did some other things in the intervening years, and the last, gosh, six years of my life have been a challenge, let's just say. People can follow along on the Simmerdown Productions Instagram page, but I had a workplace accident that tore up my knee. I had a lunatic try to murder me during a road rage incident.
Oh my God.
And that was a giant ordeal that took a lot out of me. I had 2 knee surgeries as a result of that on my other leg, and then just most recently had a second surgery. So I've had 4 knee surgeries, either from workplace accidents or this lunatic who tried to murder me in the past 5 years. And so it's been a challenge, but somehow in the middle of all that, I wanted to keep Simmerdown going, and the Sentiments weren't a going concern at the time. Our last gig was supposed to be our second to last, or farewell for now gig, was a month before the entire world shut down. And so anyway, I reached out to Aton and said, what would you think about me coming on board for this 5th album? And we made it happen. And he's just been very kind and gracious to allow me, to travel in that rarefied air with these people who are far more accomplished musicians than me. But man, I've met some incredible people through that and through Aton, and everybody's just been so kind to me. So
that project is amazing. I had the honor. I had the opportunity to see them in LA. We saw them at the Victoria Ska and Reggae Festival. They just it's such an incredible project.
The funniest thing is to see them sometimes play on small stages where the horn players have to stand like off stage or on the sides sometimes, because they have
that happens to almost every ska band.
That's true.
In some venue or another. Yeah.
But how was it when Aton came to you and said, I've got like fucking 30 songs or something, we got to do a double album? Like, it's like holy shit. Like you didn't want to break it up into 2 albums? Or there was just so much content that it was just these had to be together in a double album?
We had talked about it, talked about possibly, they recorded one additional Scotalites tune that is being farmed out to another label that I'm not familiar with yet, or when that's coming out. But we had talked about maybe releasing a couple additional 7-inch singles to encompass everything that had been recorded. But then I don't know, just looking at the numbers, that would need to get pressed and how much money he had versus how much money I had, it just seemed more economical to do a double album, one side with more ska and one album with more of the rock steady style tunes. And it just works as an all-encompassing whole. And so, when I don't think, we didn't know it was going to be a double album when the recording sessions took place. And I, as a videographer, I went down to LA with a bunch of cameras that I borrowed from work and recorded, a lot of the stuff that they did in East West Studios, where, Michael Jackson recorded Thriller. The album was recorded on the Quincy Jones soundboard that was, installed for the Thriller album. It's in the same room where Frank Sinatra recorded New York, New York, and Fly Me to the Moon, and so many other great bands. I could go on for hours about the history of that studio, but it was a magical couple of days. And there's all such good players that they all read music, something I can't do for the life of me. And Eitan wasn't a taskmaster. Everybody came in there with a job to do. He didn't have to be a taskmaster. These were all pros, and they came in for the session and started looking at their charts, and they banged out those tunes in the course of probably 2 12-hour days. It was amazing to watch the recording process.
I'm sure I saw some of the videos that you had posted. There was that was a really large room.
It's a huge room.
Yeah.
There's 5 studios in that complex, and each one is just as famous as the other. The Beach Boys did most of their recording in Studio 2. A bunch of the Wrecking Crew songs, were done in Studio 2 and 3. Red Hot Chili Peppers and Foo Fighters and other bands have recorded in other studios in that complex. But there was something magical about that room and being able to stand on Frank Sinatra's podium, where he would sing and conduct the bands. And then also just, hearing the recordings they had of all these old Frank Sinatra tunes and comparing them to what Western Standard Time was trying to accomplish. And I'm like, wow, you can hear it. You can hear that it was recorded in the same room. You could just hear it in the control room. And the engineer, Mario, who also does live sound at the Lodge Room in Los Angeles. Superior engineer. Just captured them so well. And, they had their choice of any microphone that had been used. And, I don't think there was a single SM58 on the entire recording. Way more expensive than that.
So did you get to go in the different studios and just be like, I want to be in the room where these people played? No? Okay.
No, I only ever saw Studio 1.
Okay.
The folks, hey. the Frank Sinatra room, they call it, and that control room. But, the staffers at East West were just so kind and so helpful in every part of the recording process. And anybody who was there for the session, including Eitan, will say the same thing. That's a very professional operation they got there.
Yes. I want to go through some of the releases that you have. Of course, I'm not going to touch on every single one, but you did mention some. Land of the Bigfoot Ska 96, Girls Go Ska 97. You had a Chris Murray live album that you put out. 98, you put out the Skanksters, Skanksters Dub Cookery. Engine 54, Run for the Money in 98. The Dislike in 98. Sorry?
Yeah, Engine 54 was from Olympia, Washington, and some of our compatriots from the early days. We played lots of shows with them over the years. Yeah. And the Dislike, they're a great punk rock band, punk ska band from Walla Walla, Washington. Small little college town in eastern Washington, and they eventually relocated to Portland, but great ska punk.
Right. Secretaries 98 and Scosmopolitan in 99. Plus so many more. Now for both of you, I want to know, are you both, and I'm sure you are because you're both old school. I'm sure you're familiar with past bands in your area because you're old schoolers. Um, Not necessarily from the Portland area, but from the Oregon area. A band that I got to book once, the Ready Men, that was from Eugene. You had
Mhm.
Crazy Eights from up there, which was
I
from
remember
the
them.
late 80s. You had, of course, your friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Until like really recent, actually. I mean, they were playing not too long ago, weren't they, Matt?
They continue to get together every year or two to play, and don't know if any Crazy Eights fans will see this. They kind of helped introduce me to ska music, even though they played the whole gamut. But anyway, if any of the Crazy Eights see this or hear this, I want to send my love and condolences to Todd Duncan, the singer from the band, on the tragic passing of his son just recently. Was broke my heart to hear that his son had passed away. And that's a new thing. They're starting a memorial scholarship in his name. So anyway, my heart goes out to the Crazy Eights family and fans. Many people who grew up in Portland and Eugene that know of them are heartbroken for Todd and his wife on the loss of their son.
Yeah, that's a travesty.
Had to be said just as soon as you mentioned them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. We'll continue with that. Cornerstone.
We
Also.
interrupted your list though, so
Yeah, no, it's okay. No,
Corner-
that's something that definitely needs to be recognized. Cornerstone, you mentioned as well, your band Franceska, and then of course the Sentiments. What about recent bands? You're familiar with a lot of the recent bands, both of you in the Portland area? Yeah? Okay. The ones
Matt
that
is
I
for
know
sure.
about, the ones that I know about, and I guess I've seen Cherry Papa Daddies before, a couple times. Los Malhablados, with Eric. Of course, Leah's band, the Cascadians. You got another band that's kind of more Latin, like a Latin cumbia type of thing. What called Colectivo Cascada? Cascada, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, and that's another project from Eric Molina.
Yeah.
One of the founders of Los Malhablados. More on the jazzy side.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing tomorrow.
Completely different than his other band.
Yeah, completely different.
And they're playing there?
They're playing tomorrow night. A 4-band bill with Monkey up at my local watering hole.
Yes, I did see
where Erin and I gather for a drink to reminisce every now and again.
So are you both going to go to that show or check it out, or
Thursday's the new Friday? Come on, Erin.
I have a gig in the Columbia River Gorge tomorrow, so I will be driving up to Mosier, Oregon for my own musical extravaganza.
Oh, congratulations! That's great.
Thank you. My tambourines in hand, obviously.
Yeah, you got to take them all off the wall.
Yeah.
Of course, the Sentiments, Ludicrous Speed Ska Review. Have you heard of this band?
Yes. The Sentiments played with them for a little community festival down in Corvallis, Oregon. But they're from Corvallis, Oregon, and they're still at it. One of my favorite things about them is they sponsored trash cleanup on a road in Corvallis. And so when I'm driving through Corvallis every now and again, it says, trash, those, whatever.
This section of the road sponsored by
Ludicrous Speed Ska Review. I'm forgetting their
Yeah,
full
that's the
name.
That's it.
But
This is a really untapped musical marketing outlet, I have to say.
Exactly.
That's impressive.
yeah, I've never stopped to take a picture of it, but I got to tell them it's one of the best things I've seen. You know,
That is genius.
everybody who drives through Corvallis sees it, and then they're like, oh, that's the band that's playing, you know,
Yeah.
Friday night with the Georgetown Orbits.
Yeah, another great band.
Yeah,
And
I
that's the
released
last
a
one, Georgetown Orbits. Yeah.
I released a Georgetown Orbits 7
Yep.
inch,
I saw that.
and they just released their latest album, and asked me to write the what do you call it, the dedication on the back, or
The liner notes.
liner notes on the back. And so I wrote a couple paragraphs about how they've been friends of mine for going back years now,
Mhm.
and it was such a great honor to be asked to do that and to provide some words to, like I said in the liner notes, you know, this music that's uplifted me in times of trouble,
Mm.
and you know, the 7 inch single that I released. It's one side is their original "Keep Your Chin Up," and then the B side is "Picture on the Wall," an unreleased version of that cover of that classic tune. But "Keep Your Chin Up" has lifted me up in the last couple of years when I was dealing with medical and legal shenanigans, you know, the fallout of trying to get some justice out of the man who assaulted me.
Right.
And so that was a tune I told the Georgetown Orbits that really saw me through. And they're a fantastic band, and they got a big gig last year. Madness only played a couple of U.S. shows,
Mhm.
and one of the shows they did, I think they did Seattle, San Francisco, and then Los Angeles, big festival down there. But Georgetown Orbits got to open for them in Seattle. And so, you know, people who knew Madness but didn't know Georgetown Orbits certainly did after they saw them. And so that was a great get for them. And I was really pleased to see them, you know, open up for such a legendary band. It was cool.
Yeah, when Madness played down here, I don't know if it was last year or the year before or whatever. We only got to see two bands open for them, Berlin and the Untouchables, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is cool to see that. But I want to know, I know, Erin, you play music still that we've already discussed. Now, Matt, are you still with drums because of your knees, or do you not play music anymore?
Well, I along a similar timeline to when Erin and I were in the Sentiments, I was also in another band, kind of a more skinhead reggae vibe, with Emma, one of the singers from the Bandulus, called Heavy City. And we recorded one short EP, and then fell apart in my favorite ska band implosion scenario ever, when our singer embezzled $112,000 from his employer and had to serve some time in prison.
Oh, that's not good.
But yeah, that's the warts and all story of how that band fell apart. We left a lot of great songs on the table, and I wish we hadn't fallen apart quite like that. She was Emma was singing co-lead vocals with our male singer, who did things he shouldn't have. But she was perfectly capable of carrying on the torch, but the band just imploded, and I was okay with that. But spent some time in another woman-fronted band, but I was happy to leave that situation, let's just say. And they'll be fine moving forward. But when Kit, from our first guitar player from the Sentiments, approached about recording those songs that became the PAQ project, just 2 songs, Piss on My Sambas and an instrumental tune called Scotch and Smoke. It came out really great, really great. And we're going to probably record some more songs when Kit comes back into town. He said he's been writing like crazy. But as soon as I can walk on both feet again, I'm back behind the drum set and looking to start something new again.
Very nice. It's always good to have something to look out or reach out for.
I'm a lifer.
Yeah. I think you could say I think we all are, in regards to our age too. Now, for both of you, who are your favorite ska bands currently? Doesn't have to be in the Pacific Northwest, internationally or nationally. Who are your favorite current ska bands right now out there?
Matt, you have to go first.
Erin needs to think for a second.
Besides Western Standard Time.
It's definitely Western Standard Time. The Agrolites and their dirty reggae style.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love that. Colin Giles.
Yeah.
Who
you did something
sings,
with Colin, didn't you?
No, but we've talked about it, and I need to talk some more with him about it. But his album that he released just recently is absolutely fantastic. And, the stuff he does with Western Standard Time is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then, I love women-fronted bands. And so
oh my God, I do too, Matt. I totally do.
I played a one-off gig way outside my comfort zone with the Scotch Bonnets.
Oh yeah, Lady Hatchet, yeah, and DJ Sela, yep.
Up at the Victoria Ska Festival. And so I love anything she's doing. She's got her Lady Hatchet Quartet.
Yep.
And
I guess they filmed a new video the other day.
Yeah,
it looked like she was.
And the Rude Girl Ska Review, which is, can be whoever is a woman who plays ska on stage at the moment. Which
absolutely, if you're at Supernova and you're a woman and you play ska, you're on that stage.
Yeah, and it's all about empowering those folks. And
I love that. I love the fact that they've actually, because Erin was talking about when she was in it, there was no other women-fronted band. She was the only girl in whatever bands, however many bands you were playing with, she was the only female there. And everybody thought she was the groupie or one of the girlfriends of one of the guys in the band. Whereas that you've got the Rude Girl Review that is like empowering all these wonderful musicians that are just happen to be female, and it's fantastic. I love it. I love the fact that they put that album out with the bands that had those women in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you had Pandemics and you had Hub City Stompers. What's Bowcat out of Arizona. Those women are just crushing it, like you said.
I'm really partial to Bite Me Bambi lately and Catbite. I really love both of those bands and have talked with them about maybe a new Girls Go Ska compilation or another secret project I'm working on.
Yeah,
Matt, is that Girls Go Ska compilation available anywhere?
Yes, and I'm gonna I'm
just kidding.
Daryl knows this. If you've run a ska label for a certain amount of time, bands break up and move on to do other things, and then you end up with a basement full of very expensive drink coasters. But I was doing some organizing,
and the promo materials from those bands too.
Right. And I was doing some organizing, and I found a box that probably had 200 to 400 copies of Girls Go Ska. And, some, the artwork's fine, the CDs play fine. I'm just going to have to maybe put them in new cases and get them shrink wrapped again. But sometime shortly after this hits the interwebs, I'll come up with a way for people to purchase that groundbreaking
All right.
CD.
All right. I'm following. I follow Simmerdown Productions on Instagram, so I'm keeping my eye open. Okay.
With the wonderful non-album B-side "Wasted on You," with the lovely Erin Wallace on vocals.
The vocal stylings of the lovely Erin Wallace.
I'll be a ska singer once again. All right, I had long enough to remember my answer. Thanks for the long answer, Matt. You gave me just enough time to figure it out. So, I don't know how contemporary we're talking. I've always really loved the Skints. Love them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We have opened for them a couple times, and their sound is incredible.
Yeah.
We also had the opportunity to get to know this really incredible community of musicians in LA through all of these ska family connections. So, we played some shows with the Steady 45s, and then out of that grew the Sinceres and the Altons and those aren't necessarily purely ska bands, but everything that comes out of that scene of that group of musicians, and it overlaps with Western Standard. It overlaps with all kinds of LA bands. They are so incredibly talented, so dedicated, so creative, and I just fell in love with everything that comes out of that crew. Honestly,
yeah.
Los
I know what you're
Agrios
saying. I get you.
Yeah,
is another one you should check out.
What is it?
Los Agrios, Agrios. Luis.
Yeah.
Luis put him out. Because he puts out all the 7 issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same stuff.
Also, you guys must know John Roy.
Yes.
From Steady 45s, yeah, and the stuff he's putting out for Smoke and Mirror Sound System is just amazing right now. I think you guys would. I think
John
Erin
and
would
Brian
like it a lot.
work.
Yeah,
nice.
They do all the dub shit together too. Sorry, John.
Yeah. Leah Farmer, who is in the Bandulus. Erin mentioned her fantastic new solo album. It is stellar. She did a release show. Even though all the players on that album are from Europe, she did a release show here with members of the Bandulus and the Cascadians backing her.
Okay.
And
it's because on Bandcamp it's labeled Leah Farmer and the Batasonics.
Yes.
And it's on Batasonic Records.
Yeah. But they did a release show here, and John Roy came into town. And so I got to meet him in person for the first time and have him autograph my Gangbusters reissue LP. And so that's how far I go back.
But did you have him sign the Spy Kids album?
No, I don't know that I have that one, but I talked with him about Gangbusters and playing the couple songs
it's funny because
of theirs on my radio show for years, their compilation appearances. And he's great. And he's already reached out on the basis of the Peace and Quiet project, the PAQ project, about trying to do some stuff. And we're going to get him linked up with Kit Lee, who's a great guitar player. And I would love to see Erin jump in on something of his. He's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
You have my number.
I did an interview. I don't know if a lot of the bands that you're talking about here I've interviewed, if you want to check out the channel. But I interviewed John last year, and of course, the first ska band I had ever seen was the Gangbusters. In 1991, he opened for the New York Citizens. I let him know, it's like the verse because I just saw him with Unsteady a couple months ago I went down to San Diego because Foolish Relics from Florida was down here. And it's just crazy to see like over 30 something years, see some of these bands play again, or still see
The
John,
musicians, yeah.
be the first ska band I ever seen, still being in the scene and have all these different projects that he's got going on. A guy that I really look up to as well. So
That's amazing. That was your first ska band.
isn't it? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
Yeah, that was wild. But great band.
As we move forward, when the Sentiments played what we thought was our second to last show, because we had scheduled on the books a farewell for now show, it just never happened. And so, in the intervening years, Mikey Shasha and Erin and I will text one another, reunion show this year. And, Erin and I have said, okay, we're up for it. It may happen one of these days. We just, everybody's spread apart all over. But, when we put it on the shelf, it was a never say never situation.
That was like a Lone Raspberry. They just, they reunited in October just for the show. And they had people all over the country too that had to fly in just for the show. But they flew in for practices and they had to fly back out and they came back and did all that. So it was so great to see them after 29 years actually.
Just like riding a bike.
Just like riding a bike, exactly. So it's great.
And herding 10 cats.
Yeah. We like to ask if you two have ever attended any type of ska festival, because it's the norm nowadays. So besides like the Victorian ones, anything in state, in country, have you attended any of those?
Doesn't have to be in country. They're close to Canada.
I get to count Victoria because I'm Canadian.
But you've been to the Victorian Ska Fest, so you've done those. You did Pooza.
The Victoria Ska Fest, the people who run that have been so kind to us. We've played the festival. I've played the festival in two different bands. One is a pickup thing, and one for a time when I was in the Israelites. I can't say enough kind words about Dane Roberts and Renee and just everybody up there who make that festival go. It's one of my favorite places to be. I went to what was the big festival they had out in Vegas that first time go around?
No, Viva Ska Vegas.
Viva Ska Vegas. And there
Josh
was
put that on.
One a year before that that I went to. And so those are the two I've been to. But I haven't been to any of the big LA things,
Well, we don't really have much here. Most of them are like on the East Coast or the Midwest. They have those.
Yeah, I'd like to figure out when Supernova is, but since I work in education, they keep scheduling it like the first week school's back in session.
Yes, they do.
It's September 12th and 13th.
Yeah, and I keep trying to make the argument that there are lots of people with families and kids who can't come.
When does school start for you?
We're starting in late August, but
I'm
going to be knee deep in producing
first day of
football broadcasts and things like that.
Oh, okay, very nice. First day of school starts here August 5th.
Oh wow,
Oh, that's early.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're out of school like the end of May here. So
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that then. But Erin's a dual citizen, so going up to play Vancouver and Victoria.
yeah, my mom always bought like 24 tickets.
Yeah, but it just, I don't know. Because we became such good friends with the folks who run the Victoria Ska and Reggae Festival. It just, every time we went up there, it just felt like old home week. It really did. And then I've been up there many, many times as a fan, just going to see Hepcat play, and people. I've told this to the folks who run the Ska A Go Go Instagram account and the History of LA ska account, and they've been incredibly supportive of what I've done with my label. But I try to impress upon people in LA, Southern California, just the embarrassment of riches they have down there. And like Erin said, it's all such top-notch musicianship. And on any given Friday or Saturday, you can drive for 2 hours and, like I said, have an embarrassment of riches that maybe people in Southern California don't appreciate as much as I do up here, because some touring bands just can't make it up here. Because like I said, it's 10 hours each way from San Francisco, and that's if you're driving fast.
Right.
And then it's another 4 to Seattle. And so while we're, in this little section in the upper left corner of the United States.
Yeah, that seems pretty populous and well known even. But yeah, you are kind of 10 hours from San Francisco and then another 4 to get to Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because what is it, Daryl? Was it like 3-4 hours from SoCal to Vegas?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
And that's without traffic. So,
and see if
you are kind of isolated.
If I could go to a festival and drive 4 hours, I would do that all the time. If I could go see a show 2 hours that way on Friday and 2 hours that way on Saturday, I would do it all the time. So I just stress to anybody who's listening from the Southern California, appreciate what you got. Go see live music, support it.
That's why I'm kind of jealous about all the festivals that they have, like in the Midwest or East Coast, because these people just drive a few hours in any direction there. Well,
you're jealous.
Not East. Well, I'm not talking about Georgia.
Mikey lives on a rock in the middle of the ocean.
I don't know. I don't think Georgia.
I would gladly come to SoCal for festivals. There's nothing there. At least nothing I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Plenty reggae festivals, but I mean, it's all that new reggae, Hawaiian. It's not the old school stuff. Steel Pulse rolls through here every once in a while, but
right. Now, a few more questions for you guys. One I like to ask, Mikey likes this question too, I think. If you could bring any one artist or band back from the past that is no longer together, or artist that's alive, which artist or band would this be?
And it can be any genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's hard.
Normally, this is the response we get. You gotta think about it. Like, who is it?
I'm just like, there's so many though.
There is
so many. It depends what
I'm gonna say Toots.
What I've been drinking.
Toots. Toots. And that's so sad the way Toots went out too. God, what the fuck? COVID thing.
He die a week before his last album came out, or something like that.
Yeah.
I would say Toots, but there are so many Jamaican greats that have left us over the last couple of years, in fact. But that would be great.
The original lineup of the Specials would be good.
Oh yeah.
Laurel Aitken.
The original lineup of the Selector would be great.
Oh, that's it's funny because when
Neil Davies,
I saw Selector play here a couple of years ago. Gaps was sick, and then like 3 days later, because I got that picture with Pauline, and she was telling me about Gaps. That the reason why he wasn't there, and 3 days later, as soon as she got back home, he passed.
He passed away.
So that was really sad on that one, but so many. Judge Dredd, would be another great one for me, just because he was so controversial from back then, with the stuff that he did. But it was just so fucking funny that what he did.
What do you think, Erin? Something from?
I mean, I would have to
first wave female.
Ella Fitzgerald, or
okay.
I got to go back.
Blues.
Go back.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask about some of your female blues influences.
So I really do love that, the era of jump blues and that I pull from in the band that I'm in now. I mean, the songs were like funny and dirty and like, I mean, they're just a
Yep.
little blue, like, and it's so clever. It really showcases like women in a way that they weren't always seen at that time.
Back in that time, exactly.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
I love the blues. I'm a big blues fan. I used to
Yeah.
listen to the blues all the time. So
I've been for the past couple of we have a big blues festival over Fourth of July weekend here in Portland, and we COVID year, the year that it didn't happen, we were putting together a Ruth Brown tribute set,
ooh.
and such an underrated, or not underrated, but like just she's just not as well known as she should be.
Yeah, exactly.
In the sort of in the whole in musical history. So I'd love to do that again sometime.
I would like to see Coco Taylor.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I bet she just killed it.
Totally. I mean, it took a lot of nerve, for lack of a better word, to get out and do what some of those women did.
Right, and especially women of color in that time.
Yeah.
Well, and for all the friends, I made in ska and reggae music, Erin has all these friends from the blues world, and Portland has the largest blues festival west of the Mississippi River every year here in town over the July 4th weekend, and her band has played it a number of times, but man, she sure made connections in the regional blues world through her band, the Sport and Lifers, and they are just fantastic, all top-notch musicians.
That's where Erin gets her soul from the blues. That's it right there.
Now, there's some good information there, but I was looking at this. Normally at this time is when I ask what the future holds of new material coming out. Now, we actually talked about, Matt, you did talk about some of your upcoming releases. So I want to ask Erin what you've got cooking in regards to your musical career.
Yeah, I had a solo residency for a while at a friend's bar here in town, and I took a break from that because I literally started getting sick of myself. Sometimes you need I don't know how people who tour on the same material for like decades really do it without driving themselves insane. I guess if you're getting a big paycheck, it helps.
I've heard that. I've heard bands that like hate playing the song that everybody wants to hear because they have to play every single gig.
Totally. So I need to write, and that's kind of where I'm at. But as I mentioned, I'm a soccer mom, so it's hard to write, on the sidelines without getting funny looks. So I gotta figure out that logistics. Writing.
You don't get your inspiration from that?
I was going to say, I think that's your next single is Soccer Mom.
There might be a whole new undiscovered genre here of like minivan music.
Soccer Mom ska.
Now, for Simmerdown, in regards to where we could find your music, both physical and digital, let us know all the different platforms where we can find this great music.
Simmerdown Productions.bigcartel.com for physical releases. And I'm reminded that I do have the Girls Go Ska CD on there. So if you want a physical release of the Girls Go Ska CD, featuring, I think it was 22 bands from all over the world, go there, simmerdownproductions.bigcartel.com, and then simmerdownmusic.bandcamp.com. And after years of waiting, I think I finally locked up simmerdownproductions.com, and that's gonna be a website that I'm gonna launch probably after the start of the school year. I have one more week of recovery time for this latest big deal knee surgery. And then I've got to get back to work, make some money. But that website's going to be part ska music, Simmerdown Productions happening, the history, as much as my age and foggy brain power can muster, about what Erin and I and our friends did in various bands and the history of the label. But then I'm also going to be writing about my assault,
Okay.
the assault case, August 12th, 2023. I came closer than I'd like to think to being murdered, and the effect that that had on me emotionally and physically. And I learned a lot about myself and the power that each of us has within us to advocate for ourselves. I had to advocate for myself every day for 559 days between the day I was assaulted and the day my assailant went to prison. And I fully acknowledge that I had some middle-aged white male privilege in there as well. And my history in TV news kind of helped me understand some of the processes that were going on. But I'm going to write about it to help cope with my PTSD, as part of therapy and healing myself. It still has an effect on me to this day, not always in ways that I appreciate. But I'm going to write about that and hope that somebody will see it. Buck from the Toasters was an anchor for me because I've known him for decades. And, he had this Jedi-like ability to call me when I was feeling down or when he sensed a disturbance in the force and something new had happened in the case going through. But I'm going to write about how people can advocate for themselves in situations that aren't necessarily almost being murdered. It could be something else, but I don't know. I hope somebody will read it and I don't know, take something away from that. I'm just gonna put it out there on the new website in addition to all my ska music love, and hope people will get something out of it, if only the wildest true crime story they've heard in a while.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, I'm interested, dude.
Yeah.
Really, I feel for you, bro. So I just went on Simmerdown Productions at Big Cartel, and I got me a Girls Go Ska CD, and I got me a Slackers and a Crazy Bald Head record.
Wow, that is multitasking. Good job.
Well, while he's putting it out there, I'm getting on my phone right now, and I'm going to order that Girls Go Ska CD.
Mikey, you're too kind. You're too kind.
No, not a problem, man.
Thank you to you and Daryl for the support. I listen to your radio show, Mikey, when I can. Daryl, I've always loved the Stiff Dog Records stuff. Played that when I had my radio show, and played the heck out of a couple of those compilations you released. And I don't know, just
did you ever play my other bands, the Hippos or Melting Pot or the
Yes,
okay.
Of course,
yep, all those.
Okay,
all those. Yeah, I've got all those. I think the only one I don't have is a G Spot.
Oh, I only distributed G Spot.
Oh, okay.
At the beginning, I distributed G Spot, the Aquabats, Less Than Jake, and Meal Ticket. Those are the ones that I distributed.
Okay.
Only because I had as I worked for Tower Records at the time. So I had the distribution for through Cargo and Caroline and all those other ones. So that's the reason a lot of this, I had a lot of the bands that I knew to sell me product. That way I could just distribute it through there. So it always had a sticker that it said it was distributed by, it wasn't my actual product for those.
And please go check out Erin's band. Isn't it the sportinlifers.com?
The Sportin' Lifers, no G in Sportin'. We
Sportin'
are not
Lifers.
super, and not surprisingly, not super hip to the digital world. You can buy a coaster from me directly, or I think it's mostly on YouTube. I don't actually think it's distributed a lot of other places.
One of those
right
expensive
now.
digital coasters.
Yeah, so you can use them as a reflector in your bike wheels. Like, all kinds of purposes.
Will you hang it so it keeps the flies away?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Last question now. We want to know about the last words that you both have for the fans of Franceska and Simmerdown Productions and the viewers of our channel.
Oh man, that's a big audience. I will say
Thanks.
to the fans of Franceska, like that band, that experience changed my life forever. It was such a foundational musical experience for me. And I value the interactions I had with people around those performances so much. I think back on them all the time. There are people out there who don't know, how much they impacted me, just the words that they said at a random gig. Yeah, those times were really, really important. And to your audience, keep listening, keep loving. The people who love ska music love music like almost no group of people I've ever encountered. Like, it is truly an incredible community. Sure, call it what you want, as long as no one's
ska.
taking all your money. Then it's like not a dangerous cult, right?
Absolutely not. It's a good cult, the only good one.
Yeah, no, it is such an incredible community. Keep looking out for each other.
Absolutely.
It's an exclusive club that anybody can join.
That's it exactly.
And that's what drew me to it in the first place. Seeing the specials on MTV, I'm like, these black men and white men, and then you find out there's other multiracial bands out there, paying tribute to Jamaican music, and then you meet your Jamaican heroes, and they don't care what color your skin is. They just appreciate that you're a fellow musician. And like Toots said to me, we're brothers now, we play the same music. And that's always meant a lot to me. To the people who have loved Franceska, listened to us, shared stages with us, the same with the Sentiments. Thank you so much for everything. And thank you to everybody who supported Simmerdown Productions over the years. I think I'm up to 24 releases, not the most prolific record label in the world, but I run into people at shows or get comments from people, oh, are you DJ Simmerdown? You were in Simmerdown Productions? And I'm like, yeah. And then they'll tell me about, wonderful experiences they have. And it just means the world to me. Support live music, support your local musicians. If they're selling a t-shirt for $20 and you have 25, give them 25 and say thank you. And I don't know, just keep engaging with the music. One of my favorite things about, being in Franceska and the Sentiments and, the relationships that, friendships that Erin and I have and other band members. But we have two fans who their first date was a Franceska show. And they ended up getting married. And they just followed us through the whole iteration of Franceska. And then when the Sentiments got back together, they were at all the shows. And so go to a show. You might meet the love of your life.
And you have, right? And you have to experience ska anyway. Ska needs to be experienced. Go to a show.
Yep.
Keep listening to ska.
That's what Mikey's tagline. One of them.
That's the first commandment of ska, is to keep listening to ska. No, that's Heather Augustine. She taught me that.
Yeah.
So,
well, Matt, Erin, we appreciate the time that you took out of your busy lives, your families, of course, and everything else you're doing. Want to thank you very much for being on here and telling us with your stories and your music. Hold on real fast. We're going to talk to you right after, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, hold on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
thank you.